Hey there, I'm Champion Trader Kevin Davey, and in our never-ending, ongoing series of testing algo strategies, today I'm going to look at a pivot extension algo. So let's get started. First off, if you have an idea to test, something you say, hey, I wonder if Kevin could test this. If it's a simple idea and you've already programmed it into TradeStation, send it to me. My contact info is on my website. There's easy ways to reach me. Send it to me and maybe I'll test it in a future video. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Heck, I know you're going to like this video. So just give it a thumbs up now, okay? It's probably a good decision. Let's talk about this algo. It's just going to be based on pivot points. You're going to buy a low pivot. You're going to sell short when you hit a high pivot. It's going to have a profit target that's based on the closing price, so it's not going to use the built-in profit target words that TradeStation has. And the rules are just like the description. Buy a low pivot, sell short on a high pivot, and if the profit's above a certain amount at the close of a bar, exit the next bar. Pretty simple. And when you look at the code, pretty simple. I love strategies that are simple. This is really all the code you need. Maybe you need to define the variables, the inputs, a declaration statement in there. It's not in here, but that's about it. So it says if the pivot low is not equal to -1, that's just that means it's going to be a low pivot, buy, and then pivot high, sell short, and then this bottom part is the profit target based on the closing price. That's it. We're going to optimize 3 different things. The pivot length, that's the length that you look for the pivot. There's a left strength and a right strength. The left strength is 2 to 5, and I believe the right strength, if we go back, the right strength is going to be the left strength plus 1. And then the profit target goes from $2,000 to $5,000 per contract. So it's a pretty hefty profit target. 3 optimized inputs, 80 iterations total. Here's a sample trade, and here you can see the pivot comes down, makes a new low, and then it pivots up. And remember, you can't buy the pivot low. You don't know it happened until a couple bars later. So in this case, we knew at this point, at the close of this bar, hey, there's a pivot because it went down and went back up. I'm going to buy. And then at the open of the next bar, it buys. That's a sample trade for it. Shorts would be the exact opposite. But this is an important point with pivots because a lot of people think of pivots and they look at a chart and say, okay, well, I would have bought here. Okay, well, it's easy to say that looking at a chart that this was a pivot low, right? After the next bars are in there. But at the time you did it, and the time that low was there, you didn't know it could have kept going lower, right? So you can't really say it's a pivot until a couple bars later, and by that time the price is way higher than it was before. Just to keep that in mind as you look at some of these things on charts and you think, oh, I could trade pivots, this is easy. Not necessarily. That's what the code tells you you could trade. Okay, I mentioned 80 iterations, and people say, well, why do you only have 80 iterations? Why can't I optimize more? Why can't I do millions? Well, this is a good example. Let's just say you finished your strategy development right at that black line. So you've got an equity curve to the left that looks really good. And you say, hey, this is good. I like this. Now I'm going to go live with it. Well, what happens a lot of times when you over optimize and you just have too much optimization, you get this sort of thing where the strategy just falls apart. And it's not just optimization. There's other reasons why this could happen. Could just be bad luck, you know. Maybe this is a great strategy, just went through a period of bad luck. I don't know. But optimization definitely is one of the biggest causes of things like this. So if you're having live performance that does this to the right of that black line when your strategy when you built it looked like to the left of it, maybe you're optimizing too much. So that's the public service announcement for today. Back to our pivot strategy. Let's look at preliminary results. I like to test over 2 years. 76 different combinations look robust the last couple of years. So this is working in quite a few different markets in the last couple of years. So that's nice to know. Here's a couple examples, or at least one example. This doesn't look all that great. Gold, 240 minute. I doubt you would trade this, although it had a nice run up, but it just had too much of a flat to down period. But this was one of the better cases that came out of the pivot. So even though we had a lot of combinations that worked over 2 years, the ultimate test is doing walk forward over a long period of time. Here's a slightly better one, live cattle over 360 minute bars. And again, this goes back to roughly 2007 or so. And it's better. Still has some scary periods, but this would be probably more tradable than the gold one. When you look at trading potential, again, I do that walk forward. I'm looking for good equity curves like I showed with that cattle. Altogether, there's probably 9 combinations that I would consider quote unquote good that, you know, maybe I'll look at a little bit more, run some more tests and see if they pan out. Like I said, I haven't tested everything with it yet, but there's more criteria that I use and that I teach before it becomes a fully vetted system. But this is a good start, okay? And it does show some robustness. The idea is not that bad. It makes sense. Now, can you get it to work? Maybe, maybe not. But as always, test it yourself. Try it out. See what happens. You might find you get a couple strategies out of it, a couple different markets. You might not get anything. A lot of times you get nothing. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you haven't already, what are you thinking? Hit that subscribe button. I can't believe you are not subscribing yet. Oh, well, maybe you are, but that other person isn't. He should be subscribing. So subscribe. I'm Champion Trader Kevin Davey. Have a great day.